Dude, I almost forgot to put the mic in front of me. How about that? Can you hear me? Hello.
Hello, hello.
Can you hear me now? Hey, everybody. Welcome to another week of Case Files with Kat.
And Ashley.
Woo! Still don't have it together after all these years.
I feel like I'm being interviewed. You're so professional dressed.
Do I? I've got a blazer on. I've got my
very official, guys.
I've got my readers on because I'm old as fuck, and I can't see. My eyes are changing. I don't know what's happening. Like,
I have to go get my eyeballs checked
I have
tomorrow.
I have to because I don't know if it's menopause or what, but this is bananas. This is for the birds. All of it. All of it. Someone chime in with your menopause eyesight stories. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm just going to blame everything that goes wrong from here on out.
Sounds legit.
It's so weird. It's so weird to have like my employees being half my age and they're just like, you're old.
They say that?
No.
Oh,
they're
just,
just,
dang.
but when they say something and I'm like, what does that mean? And
Well,
they're
that's
like,
fine.
oh.
When I go to speak to the high schoolers and they're like, Facebook's for old people.
Facebook
Bitch,
is
I'm not that much older than you.
not
Okay.
for old people. Older people.
Yes.
Older, maybe. Shut up. Millennials. Oh, no. What are the younger group?
I'm a millennial.
What's the younger group? Younger than you
Gen
guys.
Z or something? I don't know.
Whatever. Gen X forever. Woo! Anyway, how's your week been?
It's here.
It's here. It's the thing. It's the thing.
The weather, time change always throws me off.
Yeah. And we had a show this weekend where I was in drag like the whole time and woke up on Saturday, or was it Sunday? And was it Saturday or Sunday? The time change.
Saturday going into Sunday.
Oh, okay. So I woke up on Sunday not realizing that the time had changed and I was all boom. And it's so bright and early. I was like, oh, it's too early.
I'm not a fan of the daylight.
Like,
I'm not a big fan of this extra daylight that we're having.
it is actually darker right now. Outside.
Right now, but it looks like it's like stormy weather.
It's stormy.
That's why. Normally it would be still bright and sunny until
Stormy
7:30.
weather. Yes. Anyway, I was in my first musical.
No, how'd that go?
Not bad.
Well,
not bad. I got a couple of laughs, which is, I guess, success.
Were there supposed to be laughs or?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just kidding.
That's why I was asking.
No, and then this weekend, Toastmasters folks are going to come and see it on Friday, so I'm excited. I'm excited and felt like all my alter ego personalities were fighting each other the whole weekend, just kind of like, calm down, don't stress, Like the worry wart, Karen, she came out pretty strong.
Did telling yourself to not worry help you not
Actually,
worry?
what I did was go, sit down. I just like hold her in my breath. Sit down. We don't need that. Because, there's just, I had to make fun of her. I had to make fun of that. Like, what am I worried about? That I'm going to get laughed at? That's what I'm worried about, I guess. But it's a comedy. They don't know if I fuck up unless they know the show by heart, which most people won't. So yeah, I just kind of had to make fun of myself. So that worked.
Yeah.
Not telling myself not to feel like that, just kind of making fun of myself for feeling like, have fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss this chance to have fun with these people if I'm just worried. I'm just kind of live in the moment.
Yeah, I haven't had anything exciting like that.
No.
I've been learning guitar.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I have an acoustic and a what I call a baby electric guitar.
Will you put on a show for us? That's what everyone wants to know.
I can play like 3 chords.
Okay, next week.
Yeah. Yes, I am going to be professional about it. Like, I'm not even going to be here for the podcast because I'm going to be on tour.
She's ready for weddings. So if you're out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get started.
Yeah.
Mine's kind of long.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So this is actually a story that was told was suggested to me by Sarah, who was supposed to be here for this. Sarah. And so I'm bummed, but the show must go on. Sarah, she has what she have?
Strep throat.
She has strep throat. But this was what as soon as she like told me the beginnings of the story, I was like, oh, damn. And she said, there's a documentary. And then when I went to go find it, you had to pay for it, or like it was a series, you'd have to do the trial week. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to watch this in a week. And anyway, so I didn't want to do it. So I got the book instead, read it twice. Oh. And I love the epilogue. So the epilogues came in, up until 10 years ago. So really like up to date information on that. So this is a crazy ass story. And I'm going to start with sort of the end of the story, because that's like what everybody, if you know this story, this is what you know. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to kind of talk about the man at the center of this story. And I want you to, let me just say, this gave me all like, I started to feel some kinds of ways, like reading this book. And I would talk to Jason about it and be like, man, and I would just say, this is what happened. And then I would have these conflicting reactions, like day to day. It would just be this different and so like I want you to kind of see how you're feeling about it as the story goes on. Okay. All right. I think like my initial reaction was like, fuck yeah. And then after a while I was like, God, that's kind of weird. Feeling like that. Anyway. Okay. So I'm going to put you back into the 80s. Okay. July 10th, 1981. Hot summer morning in a little farming town in Skidmore, Missouri. About 60 residents of this town are gathered inside the American Legion Hall just off of Main Street. So it's like farmers and mechanics and shop owners, neighbors. Now, this town is very small. I think in its heyday, it got up to about 550 people. Oh, so when I say small, it's small. It's like, I think at the time there might have been 425, 450. So you have about 60. So you have 60 residents, shop owners, neighbors, people who have lived in this small town their entire lives. You can move there and live there for 30 years, but you're not from there, right? Like it's kind of like that. They're not there though for coffee, conversation, or anything like that. They're there to talk about a man named Ken McElroy, Kenneth Rex McElroy. So for almost 20 years, these townsfolk had watched McElroy threaten people. He burned property down. He stalked and threatened witnesses. He terrorized his neighbors. He'd been accused of theft, assault, arson. He is a rapist. He was a rapist. He was a pedophile. He was a domestic assaulter, domestic abuser. He shot one farmer, nearly killed the town's 70-year-old grocery store owner, Bo Bowenkamp, and somehow he was free. All of that.
Somehow I'm not shocked.
The meeting that morning was supposed to be about forming a neighborhood watch group, right? The sheriff was there, and it was like, listen, you guys aren't doing anything. What are we supposed to be doing? And so the sheriff was like, just form a neighborhood watch group and keep an eye on him. Just keep an eye on him. Don't do anything. Just keep an eye on him. They needed something, though, to protect the witnesses who were too afraid to testify against him. And this was a pattern. And then someone says something that makes the room go quiet. Ken McElroy is in town, and he's at the tavern across the street. He's at the DNG Tavern, and he's carrying a rifle. So a group of men stand up from their chairs and head to the door, and they walk across Main Street toward the bar. And inside the tavern, they kind of filter in, and they're pretty much quiet. He's sitting at the bar, and the room, the tavern, the B&G Tavern fills in, and some of the guys grab a beer and go sit at a table. But basically, all eyes are on Ken McElroy. and he's there with his wife Trina. And witnesses later say he had a military style rifle with a bayonet attached with him.
Okay.
Some remember him making threats about against Bowenkamp, who was at that time getting ready to testify against him. And others say the entire room just seemed to freeze when they all walked in. A few minutes later, he buys a 6-pack of beer, puts it in a paper sack. His wife is outside waiting in the truck, and he leaves. And a man was sitting next to him who was another neighbor. That was the last seat open at the bar, so he sits down. And Ken looks at him and says, "Getting crowded in here today, huh?" He's like, "Yeah." Like, "Oh, I wonder if they're watching a fight on TV or like whatever it was that they were doing." And he was like, "Yeah, I don't know." And then Ken says, "Hey, do you still have that blue trailer available for sale that was in your yard?" He's like, "No, I sold that a couple of months ago." And he was like, "Oh, okay. I just remember seeing it in front of your house," kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And he took that to mean like, "I know where you live." Just kind of like, just a little bit of fear, because that's just kind of what he did. So he gets up, gets a 6-pack, puts it in a sack, and he walks out, and nobody is talking to one another. There's no like, what do we do? Nothing. They just kind of follow him out. Like, well, they're supposed to be watchers, right?
Yeah.
And so he steps outside, and they filter out. About 40 guys filter out right behind him, and they start they're watching him. They filter down the street to the post office, the diner. They kind of filter up against the tavern. Some are in the parking lot, but there's 40, 50 men just watching him. And they watch him get into his truck, and his wife Trina is with him, is in the truck, and is kind of looking around going, "Why is everybody watching us?"
That would be so weird.
It was eerie, right?
Yeah.
I mean, coming from her point of view. So others from the bar step out onto the sidewalk, and then they go across the way to the Legion Hall. Some of them are kind of just everywhere. People gather near the gas station across the street, and within moments, dozens of townspeople are standing around the truck, watching, waiting. And then something strange happens. The entire crowd is just quiet. And witnesses later said you could feel the tension in the air. There was no shouting. There was no arguments, just silence. And then gunshots crack. And the rear window of Ken's truck explodes. And Ken slumps over the steering wheel, dead. A bullet enters the back of his head and exits his cheek. And he's dead. They're not sure for sure if that was the death shot, but he was definitely bleeding out, and he was no longer responsive, according to his wife. Nearly 50 people are standing nearby. But when investigators arrive, every single witness says the same thing. "I didn't see anything." To understand why an entire town would stay silent about a murder, you have to understand the man they called the town bully. And bully is being polite, I think, about, like, you just heard all the things he was accused of doing over the years.
Yeah.
Right. So Ken McElroy had quite a life. So let's talk about everything that happens within an hour. I'm going to tell you what I can about what happens from his early life until that moment. And the thing that made this story, I think, really come into focus for the country, like when it happened.
Yeah.
Because everyone called them vigilante. This was vigilante justice. And then that became that was not considered, like, they weren't considered heroes or anything like that in the town. Whoever shot and killed Ken McElroy was not considered, like, they didn't put a statue up of that person or persons. But they would say it wasn't vigilante justice. But then they would also say, well, he kind of deserved it. But it wasn't vigilante justice. Like, the town did not come together, though they were together, and say, let's kill him. Right? Like, that wasn't like...
Sure.
They're like, hey, Ken McElroy is at the bar. It's like, well, let's go get a beer. And that was what was said in the Legion Hall. Let's go get a beer. He said, watch him. We're going to watch him.
Yeah.
He walked out. Let's watch him. And the reason they were watching him was he was just found guilty, yet he was not in prison for a crime. I will never understand why. Like, honestly, if someone is found guilty, don't you immediately get put in handcuffs and taken away?
I mean, I've heard several cases where people have the option to turn themselves in later.
But after they're found guilty. This is after
they've been
the trial.
sentenced to jail, and they turn themselves in to serve their sentence, like, after.
Wow, that's crazy.
You hear it all the time with, like, celebrities and shit.
Oh, celebrities.
But
This
not just
man
celebrities,
was
but
not
I'm
a
saying that's where you
celebrity.
hear it a lot,
Yeah.
is they can turn themselves in. But it happens with regular people. And then they also have the sentences where you're out during the week and you only serve jail time on weekends. I worked with a lady years ago whose husband only served his jail sentence on the weekends. They let him out for a work release shit during the week. And he would have to be back at the jail at Friday at a certain time, serve the weekend, and then he got released for the week.
Ain't that some shit? Wow. Okay. Well,
I'm just saying it's weird. There's different kinds of sentences.
maybe he was the only breadwinner in the house.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
I didn't ask questions.
I doubt it was for the amount of violent crime.
Oh, for sure not.
Like, this wasn't speeding tickets.
Yeah.
Not being paid or
I'm just
whatever.
going on a limb and saying it was probably drug related.
Oh.
I'm just
You're like, knowing my friend. It's
it
probably...
was, no, coworker.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's back up here. Yeah.
I love it. Okay. So Kenneth Rex McElroy was born on June 1st, 1934 in rural, I can never say that word, rural, terrible, Nottoway County, Missouri, just outside the tiny community of Skidmore. Skidmore was the kind of place where everybody knew everybody. It was a farming town, and it was sort of like, you're cool, I'm cool, don't bother me. You know,
Yeah.
when I say everybody knew everybody, yeah, they all knew each other's business, but it wasn't like this sort of kumbaya kind of small town. Like, their library was really just kind of an empty building with books in it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they didn't have that strong sense of like small town folk kind of a thing. Like, so the town has really dwindled since the last epilogue of this book. But it was just farming people, lots of blue collar workers, and miles and miles of fields and stuff like that. So so he grew up poor. He grew up really poor. And this is like Depression time, right?
Oh, damn.
Right. So poor. He was the 15th of 16 children born to Tony and Mabel McElroy. They were tenant farmers. They were struggling. That's a lot. That's a lot of kids. Probably, farm hands, I guess. Like, you kind of need, if you're a tenant farmer, you probably want more kids. I don't know. I don't know. Life in that house was tough. I mean, there was not a lot of parental supervision. I mean, you're just trying to get a high five. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
like how I don't know how a mom and dad can pay attention to that many children.
How many children did you say?
16.
Oh, okay.
I listened to the Morbid podcast, and they said one might say that that's too many. I wouldn't, because I wouldn't step in that landmine or whatever. It's like one might say that's too many. That's a lot. So like
I just feel like you're always pregnant. How could you not?
okay, all right, yeah,
Anyway,
so
sorry.
at the time of their marriage, Mabel was 14.
Nice.
And Tony was 20.
Nice.
So she had plenty of time
I see.
to have all of those children, one after the other. So that kind of already hints to what Ken turned out to be, right? Neighbors later described the McElroys as a family that mostly just kept to themselves. But Ken struggled in school. He wasn't really smart. He didn't have a lot of drive to be smart. He wasn't able to read. He didn't spend a lot of time in school. At that time, especially during the Depression, kids sometimes dropped out to work to help make money for the family.
Yeah.
Even if he didn't have to do that, he probably would have not gone to school anyway.
Yeah.
He didn't like it. He didn't like being told what to do. He was, very opposed to people. It was an oppositional defiance disorder. Probably 100% a narcissist. Probably a little bit of a sociopath. There's all kinds of things going on with him that the school world did not, that wasn't his thing. He also knew he was poor. And he knew that as a young kid. He knew that, and he was mad about it. He had a lot of resentment towards people with money, and that started really early. So what was weird is that he wouldn't terrorize people with money. He terrorized the people just like him.
Interesting. Okay.
Power and control.
Oh, yeah.
I can't control the rich people. They have money to fight me.
Oh, yeah, I see.
But I'm better than you. So there you go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's why he's a bully.
Got it.
He's insecure himself, so he goes for the lower people. He was always absent, so like the teachers just kind of, the truancy officer would come by and be like, just don't. He's not going back to school.
Yeah.
Just don't worry about it. But when he did go to school, sometimes he would stink so bad that the teachers would have to, and it's when he was younger, because there was no supervision.
Well, not just that, but you're sharing a bathroom with 15 other children. If
you have a bathroom,
yeah.
right? But the teachers would try to wash him.
Oh.
So like because it would be so bad. The stink would be so bad. So eventually he did drop out. He dropped out in the 8th grade. And after that, he worked a lot of odd jobs around the farms, but steady employment was like not his bag at all. Instead, he really early built a reputation that he was just trouble. He was just trouble, and his reputation preceded him always. People knew him who knew him as a young man would later say he seemed to enjoy frightening people. I'm surprised he wasn't a serial killer, honestly. Neighbors told stories about cruelty to animals and aggressive behavior even when he was young. Like, all the signs were there.
Yeah.
15 of 16 kids. But, like, he just didn't stand a chance, right? Some recalled him shooting dogs that wandered onto the property that he believed were his. Others said he killed livestock belonging to neighbors during disputes, just 'cause. Get them mad. So this is from Wikipedia. Okay. McElroy had at least 17 children by 3 of his wives and 3 other young women and girls. With second wife, and I'm not going to get into all of the marriages and all of the girlfriends and all of the kids, so I'm just going to, second wife Sharon, who was born in 1943, he had Jerome, Tammy Sue, Debbie, Tina, and Teresa. And third wife Alice Wood, he had Juarez, Tanya, or Tony, and Ken Jr. With fourth wife Trina McLeod, he had Jerome, Jeffy, Olita, and Reno. A 15-year-old named Donna bore a son. Marcia had Tony in 1971. Marcia was, I think, 15. A girl that the author calls Sally D she had 4 children, and she was 15. Another Ken Jr., Lisa, Jeffrey, and a fourth that were all put up for adoption. All of them.
Probably best.
Probably for the best. So to get into it a little bit more, in 1952, when he was 18, Ken married Alita. She was a 16-year-old from St. Joseph, Missouri, and they moved away for 6 months before relocating to the mountains, where Alita tragically delivered a stillborn. Now, around this time, Ken had suffered a serious head injury while he was working at a construction site, and that left him with lifelong headaches and pain. He later claimed that doctors had inserted a steel plate in his head, and that was a story that he told everybody. And it wasn't until he died, when they did the autopsy, that the medical examiner was like, I want to fucking see if there's a metal plate in his head. There wasn't. So that was a lie. Even so, many people blamed his increasingly erratic behavior on that injury. They were just like, that must be it. Because there was a time when he was trouble, but he wasn't so angry.
Yeah.
And he just sort of got angrier. Like, girls liked hanging out with him at the bar and things like that. It's just, something happened. Something happened. You know, maybe just he felt invincible. I don't know. The construction job was also the last time he held what anyone would call normal employment. That was it. So it was very, he just stopped working. By 1955 or 56, he and Alita moved back to near St. Joseph, and that's when the real crime sprees began. He started stealing hogs from local farmers and then either selling them or bringing them back to be on his father's farm. So...
Is this the first wife or what
This is
number?
still the first wife.
Okay.
So this is all within like that first year and a half or so. So rumors about him began circulating widely among young people in the area. Some claim he had raped and impregnated a 15-year-old girl who later died while giving birth to twins because she couldn't afford medical care. And according to those rumors, he later returned and assaulted her sister as well. I probably should have done the trigger warning for this, and I'm so sorry.
I think there should just be a blanket trigger warning on all of our episodes.
I'm going to put it in the show notes. I'm so sorry. I probably should have said that. This is going to be just terrible. People talked constantly about his heavy drinking, his stealing, the violence, all the sex, and this was like town folk. Like, everybody talked about him. Kids were afraid of him. Adults couldn't understand how he kept avoiding any kind of serious consequences. When McElroy was 20, he befriended an 11-year-old. That was his best friend named Larry. Larry loved him. Larry got taken care of, right?
I'm just trying to imagine an 11-year-old Larry. Sorry.
Right? I see Larry from Three's Company just kind of like, but as a little kid. You know?
Sorry. I know this is very serious. The whole little 11-year-old Larry threw me off.
A 20-year-old befriending an 11-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, and for real.
Yeah.
Like, that was his buddy. And he'd be like, you want to come with me while I go steal hogs or whatever? And he would go. He sort of really looked up to, I mean, he was poor. He didn't have anything.
Yeah.
And Ken was poor, but Ken was also stealing and getting this other money. And so he would pay for Larry to have things. And as Larry got older, you know, when he wanted to get a job in another city, but he needed a car, he was like, here, you have some gas money, you know, like, he always gave to Larry without ever expecting anything in return. And it's like these little moments of like kindness in him that existed for whatever reason they existed, but it was not that way for women at all. Period. That. Do you hear them fighting?
My support.
They're like, anyway, Larry, would say that, you know, he did realize how dangerous, and of course he ended up in prison. Like, nothing good happened with Larry.
Poor
right?
Larry.
Yeah. I mean, he learned from the best, right? But he did see how dangerous Ken could be. Like if somebody really pissed him off and he was grumbling, Ken would say like, I'm going to fucking do this and that and the other. And then be like, come on, let's go. And then he would go and fucking do that thing. And he did that enough to where people knew if he's complaining and he's saying that he is going to do whatever he says he's going to do, or else he's going to make you like real close.
Wow.
There were moments when you're like, oh, I'm going to die. You know, someone would be like, I'm going to die. And for whatever reason, something pulled him back to not do that thing. I don't know what it was. He did just enough to just strike fear. He followed through just enough.
Yeah.
And then sometimes he would just go, nope, not doing it. You know, I'm going to shoot into the floor, not into your face.
Yeah.
You know, like but you're peeing yourself. It's too late. You know, like you don't know. You don't know. McElroy spent a lot of time in local bars and and began hanging around teenage girls. Like I said, they liked him. He was cute at the time when he was young. When older teens worried about him, like being a creep, he would laugh and say they didn't need to worry. You're too old for me, he reportedly told one girl. I like my women young and tender. That's gross. That's gross. And Kevin is quiet right now because I put him on silent. It's okay. One girl, Donna G, was only 13 when she began sneaking out to see him. And she lived with her grandparents. Her mom had died. Her dad was off doing whatever. And they owned a tavern in a nearby town. And one night while Ken was away, he casually asked her grandfather, hey, how's the farm going? How's Donna doing? And that, of course, pissed off her grandfather, and he said, stay away from her or I'm gonna get the police on you. Oh, mistake. Ken simply stared at him silently for like 4 or 5 minutes. Awkward. And then he left with these girls, right? Later that night, they're all drinking some Jack Daniels and they're all, you know, hooping and hollering in a car. And they're like, hey, come on, we're going to go down to his farm and burn it down. So they get there and he's with these 17-year-olds, right? And they get there and he's like, I'm hungry. So he starts to make himself a sandwich and they're all making sandwiches in the kitchen. And they start hearing some rustling upstairs and they realize that Donna's uncle is in the house. And he's like, "Oh man, that's a good guy. He doesn't deserve to die by fire, you know." So he's like, "Let's just go." So they took their sandwiches and whiskey.
His morals when he chooses to have them is so bizarre.
It never makes sense.
So it's just when someone's personally done something to him, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
everything's personal.
I'm not justifying his behavior. I'm just saying it's when someone has like he feels they have done something. Like
everything's
he didn't kill
personal.
the uncle because the uncle hadn't done anything to him, but the grandfather had, so he was going to burn it down.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah. So then he's like, bop, 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 let's just go. He doesn't deserve to be burned up anyway. So they left, drinking whiskey, eating sandwiches, and about a year later, Donna gave birth to Ken's son. So there you go. He then started hanging around with a girl named Sharon, a 15-year-old girl from St. Joseph area. She was sweet, naive. One night they were in his pickup and they got into this fight. He got out his rifle and he said, if you don't shut up, I'm going to blow your head off. Now, whether it was by accident or by on purpose, the gun discharged and ripped away the underside of her chin, leaving permanent scars. Charges were filed. So Ken goes home and he explains to Olita, who is still fucking married to him, by the way. Explains to Olita that he's going to have to divorce her and marry Sharon so she can't testify against him. And she's like, awesome. 100%. Divorce granted.
I bet.
I'm out.
I bet she was. It was probably the best day of her life.
Fucking God. Peace out. I'm out of here. So 1958, Sharon became the second Mrs. McElroy. So they began having children very quickly. In 1959, they had Jerome, but they weren't really raising him. His parents were. So the next year, Jerome went to go live with Ken's sister in California. Soon after they left his parents' farm, Sharon tried more than once to leave Ken, but she always ended up back with them. She just didn't have the resources.
Yeah.
She was a kid, she just didn't have to
everyone was, it was a poor town, right? It's like,
it's a poor town. She doesn't have family.
Yeah.
She's a child.
Yeah.
She's still a teenager. She doesn't know the ways of the world. What are you going to do? You know what I mean? Like she had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
In 1961, they had a daughter, Tammy Sue. At one point, she did show up to the sheriff's office saying that Ken basically had imprisoned them for 2 days until she finally escaped and got a ride into town to the sheriff's office. And she told them of the violence that she was experiencing, and she was so scared to go at what Ken would do when he came back to home to find them gone. He would be gone for like days, weeks, but he expected her to be home when he got there. So she was not free, right? And this is like a pattern with all of his women. So they sent her to a foster family. The foster mom learned from authorities that Ken had brought another child, another 14-year-old girl named Sally D, to live with them. And so Ken would rape both of them, beat both of them. And she stayed with the foster family for 6 weeks when the prosecutor finally charged Ken with abuse. It took them so long. She was to go to the courthouse to sign some papers before his arrest, and somehow Ken found out where she was. He demanded to see Sharon, and the judge allowed it as long as the meeting happened in the prosecutor's office. This makes I can feel my heart actually bumping out of my chest at saying that. Like, the system fails women over and over and over again. And the fact that the judge is like, I don't want to be on his bad side, so yes, fucking go ahead, just is beyond me. Ken sweet talked Sharon, telling her he'd bring Jerome back home from California if she came home and didn't testify against him. So Sharon declined to sign any of the papers to say that any of that happened. She wasn't going to press any charges. And that night she went home with Ken and he beat her to a pulp.
What about Tammy Sue? Tammy Sue didn't go back, did she? Or did she stay with the foster? Oh.
No, she was, yeah. So Sally D, the other girl, was the sister of one of Ken's friends. And after a bad beating, he threatened to kill her father. Her mother had already died as well. She didn't do what he said. So terrible. So she moved in with him and Sharon. That's how she ended up in that house. Later in 1961, when he was 26, remember?
Oh my God, we're not even at 30 yet. Oh. I should have brought liquor.
Oh, you want some? I got a brand new bottle of vodka. Okay. This could be one of those. I'm sorry.
This is okay.
This is a wild... When she said killing the town bully, this is really not what I was expecting. I thought it was like the bully. Not all of this. So, and I want everybody... How are you feeling right now? Are you like, fuck yeah, glad they did what they did?
Yeah.
Is that how you're feeling?
Yeah. I'm all for, like,
are you
vigilante
killing?
I feel like there would be a lot less sexual assault people around.
Mm-hmm.
A lot less abusers around.
If the judicial system, if the courts, if all of those mechanics worked, we would not be in the situation.
But they don't work. They've never worked. So
yeah, I mean,
I'm all for vigilantes.
I'm against the death penalty though, because it's not. I don't know, like.
That's tough because I feel like. I don't know. I feel like
some people were like, you shot him in the back of the head in broad daylight. Like,
well, my thing is like, I feel like if they get to live their lives in prison, they're not really paying for what they did because prison's not always awful for people. I mean,
in some states it is fucking terrible, especially in the South. Yeah, like Alabama.
I'm not opposed to
Alabama
death penalty.
Okay. It's not,
I
in
do
theory,
think they should die the way they killed the people, though.
in theory, it's a,
Yeah.
but it's not practiced fairly.
Correct.
So that's my issue. Okay. We can
Yes.
talk about this. Okay. So in 1961, he's 26. All right. He met Alice Wood, who was 15 at the time, and she found him charming and dashing, and she liked how he did things like his way. God, we're so done when we're teenagers. Did you hang out with a lot of adults when you were a teen? I did.
Yes. I didn't hang out with I don't think I hung out with anyone my age. Actually.
But like, did your grandparents know? Like you're hanging out with, okay. Yeah.
I was always at my cousin's house.
I remember being like, it's cool. This 19-year-old is cool. I'm 14. It's fine.
I mean,
no, gross.
Yeah, I was always at my cousin's house, and her parents were alcoholics and shit and didn't care what we did. Like, they would buy us shit. They would let people come over. There was no supervision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can kind of see where these girls are like, if you've got nothing, you don't really realize. You think it's so cool when some older guy is giving you the attention and giving you
because he's
stuff
so much cooler than the guys your age.
And he is 100%.
Yeah, I don't blame the women. Like, I understand because I
just think like at 15 you don't know shit, right? And so you're just like, oh yeah, he's so like.
When I was 15, I dated someone in their 20s, and I just didn't realize how gross it was until I got older.
Until you were in your 20s, and you're like,
I'm like,
I cannot
checking out teenagers. What the hell is this problem?
I am not checking out that freshman. That is just not a thing.
But when I was 15, I was like fucking pumped, right? I was like,
I know.
Yeah.
So she just thought he was just all that in a bag of chips. And then in 1964, Ken left Sharon and the kids and moved in with Alice in St. Joseph. Ken was almost never around. Again, like this is his pattern. He just keeps his women sort of in prison, and it's all about power and control. And he never told her when he was going to come back. You just have to be here. And he wanted complete dominance over his women. He was free to come and go, but she couldn't. She was beaten up severely for asking questions. If she spoke her mind, she was beaten up. If men looked at her, she was beaten up. He never once apologized. There was never the wheel, the power control wheel. There was never like that honeymoon.
Yeah.
And then things start escalating. It was never anything like that. Did she fantasize about killing him? Hell yeah, she did. Over the years, but their relationship sort of evolved. She bore him children, and their eldest son, Juarez, was Ken's favorite kid. She would help out the subsequent wives. Like literally she would help out. Like they lived with her sometimes, she helped out a lot. And although there was no love there, she did not love him. There was a friendship of sorts, like over the years, as she got older and he was no longer attracted to her.
Yeah.
They were able to, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
She was a better woman than I am. Considering he literally broke her face.
Yeah.
Literally a rifle, of a rifle into her face, breaking both of her cheekbones and her nose. He broke her face.
I'm sure she had nowhere to go. Like they had these children together.
This is when they weren't together.
I know, but weren't they like, was she not living with him?
No.
Oh, okay.
This is when they weren't even together. She was helping Trina escape.
Okay. I thought you meant like, they were.
Yeah. This is just constant violence.
Yeah.
Constant violence. Like why have a relationship with, like, it's just crazy. Oof. Constant violence. So every time Alice left him, he would threaten her taking Juarez away. And it would make her go back. And she finally left, determined to protect her babies. And so she was at her mom's house. She had her gun. She was cleaning it. She was ready. She shot herself in the hip.
Oh, that's about to say head. Oh
she shot herself in the hip. And when she was at the hospital, of course, she's no longer protected. The babies aren't protected. And this whole thing just sort of starts all over again. She ends up going back. Sorry. She ends up going back to Ken. And it just, again, just the cycle of violence just happens all over again. So around 1969, now this is also from Wikipedia. He met his last wife, Trina, when she was 12 years old and in the 8th grade. And he was 35. So we've skipped a lot of crime, a lot of the same shit, stealing hogs, whatever. He raped Trina repeatedly. McLeod's parents initially opposed the relationship, but McElroy threatened them into an agreement by burning down their house and shooting their dog. McLeod became pregnant when she was 14, dropped out of school in the 9th grade, and went to live with McElroy and his third wife, Alice. McElroy divorced Alice and named Trina and married Trina in order to escape charges of statutory rape with her, to which she was the only witness. 16 days after Trina gave birth, she and Alice fled to Trina's parents' house, and according to court records, McElroy tracked them down and brought them back when the McLeods were away. McElroy once again burned their house down and shot their new dog. The legal system depends on witnesses, right? Mm-hmm. All of the witnesses in case after case changed their minds about what happened in any situation that Ken McElroy found himself in. He was able to change stories so that something was an accident or there was plausible deniability. There was just enough plausible. I was cleaning my fingernails with my corn knife. I wasn't threatening him with it, right? Just enough of, and maybe that was the moral compass. I'm going to shove my gun in your face, but then I'm going to go like this and go, I was just putting it on my shoulder, right? Like there's enough of a, and that someone is like, I don't want to get on his bad side. I'm not.
Yeah.
No way. Nope. Didn't see anything. And that's what they were doing the entire time. Didn't see anything. No one saw anything all the time. That town is just great at that, I guess. Regardless, he was found guilty. Anytime he was found guilty, things were just dismissed or delayed. If a court case is delayed for too long, they just dismiss it anyway. If no one's willing to testify, they dismiss it. So when Trina said, okay, I won't testify against you if you marry me and only live with me. So no more Alice. And he agreed to it. And so they were like, what are we going to do? Nothing they can do.
Yeah.
So, witnesses were frightened. He was so good at scaring them. He would literally just random show up at their house and like park his truck. Everyone knew his trucks, and the women all drove the other trucks. They were sort of like his backup. They had rifles in the backs of their trucks too. So like everybody knew the McElroy trucks. And so he would take backup, and it was his women. And they would just watch prosecutors' houses, witnesses' houses, the cops. Like he's like, I'm just sitting here, not doing anything, just sitting here, right? Like nothing that you can really say he's doing.
Yeah.
But he would sit for hours, and sometimes he'd have his rifle across his lap, or if you could see into the truck, it would be right there on the seat next to him. You know, he would stare at their houses, making sure that they knew that he was there. And the message didn't need to be spoken. Everyone knew, testify against me and see what happens. Charges against him were repeatedly dropped because witnesses refused to appear in court, and over time his tactics became more aggressive. People reported him circling homes late at night, following them down country roads, threatening families directly, and slowly the town learned something dangerous. Ken McElroy could get away with almost anything. For years, Ken was accused of crimes ranging from theft to assault to arson to rape. Once in February 1969, he was suspected of being a part of a string of these like livestock and herbicide thefts in Kansas. And so like not super far away. And they were breaking in and stealing this herbicide for farms and selling it, right? So one night, one of the farms had hired this elderly watchman who was armed with a 12-gauge shotgun. They had him set up as like a night watchman at a warehouse where they kept this herbicide, and so he noticed some would-be thieves. He ordered them to stop, but they didn't, so he shot at them. They got away. The sheriff's department followed them, but lost them. And they knew it was Ken, like they knew, but they had no proof. Then on just a couple of days later, a man went to the hospital to have 12-gauge shotgun pellets removed from his ass. It wasn't until 1971 that warrants were even issued, but then they were never executed. So Ken was never prosecuted.
That's crazy.
Ever. So, but in 1970, Ken went on a crime spree that resulted in 19 felony charges being brought against him in all of these little area towns. And he got so good at delaying trials that they would eventually just be dropped. If witnesses just left town or refused to testify, how was that his fault?
Yeah.
Ugh. So frustrating. Then this massive string of hog thefts and farm burglaries started, and the farmers kept going to the police, but had no proof it was Ken. He had multiple trucks and multiple people drove them, and so just no hard proof. So farmers started arming themselves. But 2 shootings would push the town toward its breaking point. And the first involved a farmer named Romaine Henry. After a dispute over property and livestock, McElroy shot Henry with a shotgun, but he survived. But witnesses were intimidated and the case struggled to move forward. For many residents, this was the moment something changed. People began quietly saying something that had never been said before, that Ken McElroy might actually kill someone someday. And then a few years later, he nearly did. There was the Bowen Camp shooting. I mentioned him earlier. In 1980, McElroy was accused of stealing candy. A McElroy daughter, was accused of stealing candy from a local grocery store owned by 70-year-old Bo Bowenkamp. And so like one of his like kids was in there just kind of back. She was like, can she pay for that? And the younger girl was like, no, I didn't pay for it. Took the candy away, put it on the counter. The little girl was crying and she didn't know how else to explain. She was like, oh, well, she was saying that she was stealing. She was raiding. And so like the story grew and grew and grew that somehow this store owner just insulted the McElroy family and that pissed him off. That pissed Trina off. Trina comes in and just like a wild person, like, I'm gonna fucking kick your ass, you motherfucker, blah, 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 blah. Like, that's Trina. Little tiny Trina became a McElroy. You know what I'm saying? Bo Bowenkamp was just the guy that worked behind the meat counter. He was like, his wife was the one that was like talking, and it wasn't even that big of a deal. It was just like, hey, you know, that's 50 cents or whatever. And it wasn't that big of a deal. She never said that she was stealing. But that was what Ken McElroy decided to focus on. So he shot the owner in the neck and chest. He had saw it coming and moved out of the way. And so he would have died had he not moved. But he survived. And as soon as somebody showed up, he said, Ken did it. It was Ken McElroy. Ken did it. He could barely speak, but he was saying that. Amazingly, he died. But this time prosecutors finally secured a conviction and McElroy was found guilty of attempted murder. And for the first time, the town thought justice might actually catch up with him. But then the judge released McElroy on appeal bond. And he came back to Skidmore. And nobody felt safe. And he was still armed. And he was still sitting in that D&D tavern, threatening Bobone camp, threatening people. And that was why on July 10th, 1981, residents gathered at the D&G Tavern to have a beer and to watch, just as the sheriff said to do, to watch. It was about protecting witnesses and organizing this neighborhood watch, right? And so when he drove himself into town, he walked into the tavern carrying a rifle with a bayonet attached. And according, to witnesses, was just saying, I'm going to fucking kill Bobone Camp. And he was getting all riled up. And they knew, oh shit, Ken's in town and he's drinking and he's pissed. And everybody go home and lock your doors because who knows what's going to happen. Like they know he's out, he's here to hurt somebody. And so dozens of men filtered out and crossed the street and entered that bar, and they took care of business. And ballistics later suggested that at least 2 guns were fired. McElroy did die instantly. The most extraordinary part of the story came afterward because investigators interviewed dozens of witnesses and people at the gas station, people outside the bar, people standing in the bar, people standing only feet away. Every single one of them said the same thing. I didn't see who did it. Even though 50 people were present, even though the shooting happened in broad daylight, even though the county sheriff himself had been nearby earlier, no one identified a shooter. No one testified. No one was ever charged. And more than 40 years later, the killing of Ken McElroy remains officially unsolved. But in Skidmore, many people believe the mystery was never really the point because the shots rang out that day and something ended. The decades of fear, the decades of intimidation, decades of living under the control of one extremely violent man. Nearly 50 people saw Ken McElroy die on Main Street, and somehow no one saw a thing.
Good for them.
McElroy was buried at Memorial Park Cemetery in St. Joseph, Missouri on July 9th, 1984. Trina McElroy filed a $5 million wrongful death lawsuit against the town of Skidmore. The county of Nottoway, Sheriff Danny Estes, who was there at that meeting, Steve Peters, mayor of Skidmore, and Del Clement, whom Trina accused of being the shooter, but who was never charged. And the author, Henry N. McLean, he said, he would go back every so often to visit the people of Skidmore. And he was like, I want to know what really happened. And if they swore him to secrecy, he would swear secrecy. He had just spent so much time on this story. He wanted to know what happened. And he finally got a hold of all the police files, all FBI files, because FBI was called in. He was able to see everything. And yeah, is it clear that Del Clement was one of the Clement brothers was the one that killed him? Yeah, it was pretty clear. The police didn't do anything about it. The investigation was pretty shitty. She said right away, I saw him do this. I saw him. I looked right at him as he was getting his rifle. I saw him pick up that rifle and I saw him shoot that rifle and then heard the crack and someone grabbed her, and it was, I think, of the father of Del Clement. Someone grabbed her and got her out of that truck or she was going to die too. They didn't care that she was in there.
Yeah.
She had also been a menace, but she was not a happy person.
Yeah.
The case was later settled out of court by all parties for $17,600 with no one admitting guilt for the stated reason of avoiding costly legal fees should the suit proceed. Trina remarried and moved to Lebanon, Missouri, where she died of cancer on her 55th birthday on January 24th, 2012. Her last interview with Harry McLean, she said there were 2 different interviews, two different decades, right? The first one, she was married to person A, she had remarried, and it was this person A, and she just kind of said, I wish I could say more. And then the next time she was interviewed, she was married to person B, and she was just kind of like, I just didn't know. Like there was what is it? Jason calls it something when someone dies, all of a sudden they become like a saint, you know, like he was a good man. He was a good father.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what the word is. But
like they lionize the dead, I think is what he says. And so there was a lot of that. And the foster mom she stayed with, because these were children, right? Mm-hmm. The foster mom she stayed with before she went back to Ken, she saw Trina not able to sleep in her bed. She saw Trina not able to like let her go of her baby. She was so scared that he was going to come and take the baby. She saw her like that. And then for her to be on that TV saying, I was never afraid of him, just was like, what? Like, you know, and so there was sort of this performative aspect of what she was saying, what she was doing. And she was like, he was a good father. He was a good husband. And this, that, and I was never afraid of him. And it's like, ma'am, when he broke faces, what, you know, like, and it wasn't until she grew up where she was like, man, I made some mistakes, you know, in her own choices in regards to that. But, he said, you know, the, in one of the epilogues, Harry McLean said, I think I'm on the town side. The idea that vigilante justice is looked down upon. You know, it's kind of like, man, these people really did live in fear, and you know, we're not supposed to be judge, jury, and executioner, but damn, the system failed in so many ways. So I don't know. I have all kinds of feelings about it, but that's my story.
Well, I don't know how I will follow that up.
Jared, you great. It's going to be great. So thank you, Sarah. If you have an idea for a story, send it in. You know, love ideas, so I don't have to do too much thinking about what I should do next week.
Yes. But like, I will say the last story I did and the one I'm doing next, those have all been sent in from people. So please send them in.
Mm-hmm. And then there are, my following story also takes place in Skidmore, but I think
Oh my God, what is with
that? Right. I know. There's actually 2 big stories other than this to come out of Skidmore. I know.
Are they his children?
No.
Oh.
I know, right?
I thought you were about to say like the children grew up to be.
No, they have nothing to do with it. It's so crazy. But anyway. Anyway, that's it. That's my story. Okay. See something? Say something. Again, come on, guys. Stand by each other.
Yes. Yes.
All right. We'll see you next time. Bye. Bye.